Good morning, Tim Sykes here with a little pre-market trade and video lesson. Just happened so quickly. I'm not even like fully awake yet. I haven't even opened the Profitly chat room. I couldn't alert it. It was too quick, but it was good that I was prepared and I made a little money. And I'm making a video lesson. This is IZEA. It's up 23%. I'm filming this at 8:10 a.m. Just did this trade. I don't even know how long. I was in it for like a minute. Um, you had to be quick, and I covered too quickly, but at the same time, like I'm not even awake. This is just kind of a cool video on how to be prepared. So that it's like I kind of want it to be second nature for you. Just like this trade was for me. Just made 275 bucks. Like some people are gonna laugh at this because I have $1 million account here with Interactive Brokers, and they're like, I can imagine they're going to be like, well, who cares if you make $275? But what they don't understand is that this $1 million account was built off gains like $275 or $2,000. I only got a partial execution. Like I said, I'm only half awake. Like, this is kind of a funny trade. I haven't even written the blog post. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it either today or tomorrow. It's been kind of crazy. I'm finishing several DVDs and teaching students in person later this week. But the blog post is going to talk about how I have two accounts this year. One, starting with 12,000 in my E-Trade account, which is actually, I started with 12,400. They're my roots. And that account is already up to like 16,000, which is crazy, in just like 2 weeks. And then I'm going to have $1 million account just for shits and giggles, I guess. More just like when there's a perfect trade, I want to take advantage of it. Because I'm starting with 12,000 in the other account, I'm under the PDT rule, so I can only do 3-day trades per week, which is fine. It's more than enough. Like as I've proven, I've already grown it from 12 to 16,000 in 2 weeks, and if I keep that up, I won't even be under the PDT rule in a few weeks. But at the same time, some students have a lot more money and they feel cheated. They're like, why do you always cater to people with just small accounts? So I'm like, fair point. I have students with small accounts, big accounts. I want you guys all to learn. So I'm going to have two accounts. I don't trade in the $1 million account very much, or I don't intend to, but this one, literally I just logged in and I was already logged into Interactive Brokers and I wasn't logged into E-Trade. So that's the reason why I just did this trade. Easily could have done this at E-Trade, but it was just a question of, just whatever was open. And sometimes, I'm going to take a small trade with a big account. I didn't need to, I used roughly, $7,500 on this one. So I could have easily used my small account to make the 275. It was just a rush because it all happened within a few seconds. Let me explain the trade just to give you a little background of what's going on here. I just shorted IZEA at around $8 a share and covered at 770. Right now it's at 750. So again, I could have waited a little longer, but at the same time, when you're half awake and like I didn't even really want to do the trade, I just did it just because I was like, I can't pass up free money. Like if you see like $100 bill on the ground, like it's tough. In this case, I saw $275 on the ground, and probably could have been like 500 if I was more awake. Why is this spiking? Why did I short it? Why did I short a breakout? I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about that. This stock is a breakout, or when I shorted it, it was a breakout. Now it's looking like a possible double top. Going back to here in September, this company can spike a lot more than you think. Sorry, I just gotta wake up. This is gonna be a rough video lesson, just FYI. But it's cool that I've been trading so much and I've trained myself so well that when I see an opportunity, I just take it. Again, this became second nature. Normally, I wouldn't short this kind of a chart. Normally, I wouldn't short a breakout, but IZEA just spiked on this news. that they're, well, this is a briefing.com article that spiked it, but the actual press release says they're going to do altcoin cryptocurrency mining operations, which, this is the hottest sector. So blah, blah, blah. Anything that announces crypto, the stock spikes. And they talk about all how, they're doing all this crypto stuff and it's good. Right now, crypto, as I'm filming this, let me just show you. Uh, Crypto is getting crushed. Bitcoin's down 15%, Ether's down 14, Ripple's, they're all down 15, 20%. So this is going to be an ugly day, it looks like, for crypto. Also on Friday and really even last Thursday, there were a few crypto announcements with companies and the stocks did not spike. So the trend might be changing. This is a former runner. The volume so far, I mean, in 15 minutes since they announced it, roughly, is 295,000, which is a lot of volume for this stock, but not a lot of, volume total. So this pre-market spike could completely disappear by the market open. So what I was thinking was that I actually tried to short this, or when I opened my Interactive Brokers account, uh, interface, it was actually around 8:30 and I was like, this is ridiculous, from 6 to 8:30 in like 4 minutes. And now it's coming back, so I'm actually glad that I played it safe. But this whole spike on the news was just kind of ridiculous, and you have to be careful shorting in this market. I'm not saying just short anything, but at the same time, this volume was not very big. I want to say it was under like 80,000. So when a stock like this in a falling overall market for crypto, in a market the past 2 days that hasn't rewarded crypto news, spike like this, I thought that this thing had downside, and sure enough, it did. It actually dropped a dollar 30 a share in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Now it's back up, so I'm glad that I took profits and played it safe. There's something to be said about just going for singles. As I showed you before, I mean, this whole trade happened within a minute. So my thought process was that I'm shorting a little bit because this is a ridiculous spike. I think it can come down a dollar. It did. I took profits too soon, but now, as you see, the stock is higher. I used roughly $7,500 to make 275. I don't even know if E-Trade. Let's see if E-Trade has shares to short. I'm just curious. Yeah, E-Trade has shares to short too. So you could short it at E-Trade or Interactive Brokers. I was just shorting the pop because the trend has changed a little bit the past few days, compared to earlier last week and 2 weeks ago, when any crypto stock, any kind of crypto announcement would spike a stock, 50, 100, 200, 300, 500, even at nearly 1,000%. I mean, that's how crazy it was. So now I'm going to be a little less aggressive on my crypto longs, and I might even do a crypto short. Also, hidden down in this press release, just because this is such a bad company, it's actually pretty amazing. They announced IZEA Crypto in the headline, and deep down in the press release, they talk about their total bookings, which, IZEA is an influencer marketing network, like where you can book like an influencer for stuff. And trust me, I'm a social media influencer, and their rates are shit, and their business is shit. So I kind of already know that in the background. Just it's kind of cool. And then their main business, if you look at this press release, says announced net bookings were 5.2 million compared to 8 million in the same year ago. So they're not growing. They just lost like 30% of their revenue. So they better start in crypto, because they suck in every other regard. So it was actually pretty funny. It says like, while we would have preferred some of our key renewals to have a 2017 signing date, several of the larger renewal contracts were delayed in 2018 due to a significant increase in annual commitment from those customers. Well, we believe this to be a timing issue and have already closed, blah, blah, blah. And so they're trying to make excuses like why our revenues just dropped, 30%. Um, they say like the remaining commitments expect to come later in this quarter. So you can always say that. So basically, they lost 30% of their business. Let me just cut through all the press release bullshit for a second. Oh, look, now it did a double top. It's actually a neat little double top potentially. Let me just cut through what this press release is actually saying. Their business is down 30% year over year, which is horrendous. That's some of the worst business. I trade a lot of bad stocks and a lot of bad companies. This is one of the worst. Um, so obviously they're not going to put that in the title. It just says announcing IZA crypto. They needed to talk about something positive to kind of brunt the sell off from if they just announce that the revenues are down 30% year over year. Wait, let me get you the exact percent. Just because it's so bad, and this stock, it's actually kind of funny. Like I can imagine short sellers like pulling their hair out right now, thinking this stock just reported revenues are down 30% and the stock is up. I hate this market. 8.1 minus 5.2. 36%, my bad. So their business has dropped 36% year over year, which is, I mean, that's how you go bankrupt if you keep losing 36% or even 26% year over year. No one really wants to work with you. They hid this in the press release and they announced crypto because, frankly, they have to announce something positive. Otherwise, people would see what a joke they are. One other thing that I should know is that even if I wasn't an influencer, so I have some kind of, I guess, knowledge about how bad this company is doing. When they spiked up big here, they couldn't even get a financing done. We've seen a lot of penny stock spikes like this, but usually they're all, excuse me, usually they're all in order to do a financing. You pump up your stock price, you raise money. That's how you stay in business. That's how you grow. That's how you enrich the executives. And this stock spiked from the ones to the sevens, and they didn't even do a financing because, frankly, they couldn't. I'm guessing that they pitched their deck to institutional investors and hedge funds everywhere, as all small caps do, and no one bit. So even though this stock actually held its gains pretty well and now is like holding near its highs, their overall business is dropping 36% year over year. They're hiding it in the press release, which just makes it even worse. Like some companies, okay, you have like a bad industry, you adapt, but they're pretty upfront about it. And, the executives are not ashamed about it. And so they actually have a better chance of being successful. The way that this company just hid a 36% drop in business by trying to hide it under, BS crypto news should enrage every single shareholder here. But again, we're in a time full of speculative bullshit. The stock is still up 36%, right where I shorted it. So, my own short selling bias might not, be accurate here. But I still like exposing this stuff. And that was my thinking, when I quickly read this. And I mean, again, I'm half awake. Didn't even open the Profitly chat room. Didn't have time to alert anything. No one even knew that I took a position. It was such a small position, anyways. But as you can see here, it's facing a little resistance. And I can just imagine some short sellers out there where they're just licking their chops, being like, oh my God, this company just announced a nearly 40% drop in business, and yet the stock is up 40%. What a stupid, stupid market we're in because of crypto. So we'll see what this does today, but I would definitely 1000% not be long biased on this. It might spike more. They might catch early short sellers off guard with their BS, but I do want you to know that it's BS. And sooner or later, there will come a reckoning for this and all Bitcoin and crypto stocks. You cannot just spike on hype and BS forever. So enjoy it while you can, hypesters. Enjoy it while you can, IZA management. I'm going to expose your kind of unethical press release bullshit. And to everybody else, If I've made my point, leave a comment underneath this saying, thanks, Tim. I understand this is BS. And let's see how many of you guys actually understand it, because a lot of you guys just judge stocks based on how well they do, how much they go up. Like, even if they go up 500%, well, if it goes up 500%, it's not BS. But what I want you to learn to do, even if you are going long this, and I don't mind people going long, like if you caught it on the dip, I mean, there was $1 to be made on the downside and $1 to be made on the dip buy too. So don't feel bad if you go long. But whether you go long or short this kind of stock, I want you to understand the BS. I don't want you to be uninformed. I don't want you to be like naive, like way too many crypto investors and traders are, where I want you to say, okay, I'll trade the volatility, long or short. And in this case, for me, it was short just because of the reasons that I listed. But at the same time, no matter how you're trading it, be aware of the BS. Be aware of that kind of sneakiness when a company loses nearly 40% of its business. And of course, they're going to make excuses. I can just imagine some of the messages I'm going to get from IZA supporters. They're like, but they said that the bookings are coming later this quarter. That's very easy, because I can guarantee you that IZA, employees are now calling those companies being like, please, 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 we'll give you 20, 30, 40, 50% off the cost of our business, and just rebook. So now they have until the end of the quarter, which is March. So they have a few extra, weeks to try to get that business back. But they had to pre-announce that they lost nearly 40% of their business. That is an SEC requirement. When the quarter ends, and frankly, you don't have the money that you thought that you did or that you announced that you would, you have to announce it. And, today is January 16th, 2018, as I'm saying this. So this is roughly 2 weeks after the quarter ended. I guarantee you IZA was not looking forward to issuing this press release, but they are legally bound to talk about, how they're doing, whether it's good or bad. In this case, they are doing very, very, very bad. And so they had to try very, very, very hard to mask that. And there's two different stories here. One, the chart is uptrending, and this is a potential breakout. So technical traders will say, Tim, you're trying to fight crypto. You're trying to fight a breakout. You're trying to fight strong volume. You're on the wrong side here. And then the shorts will say, it might be a rising market, it might be an uptrend, it might be spiking, but the business itself, the underlying business itself, is collapsing. And the way that they tried to hide it in that press release, makes me think that this stock should drop more. So there's a case that can be made for both sides. That's the market. This is not a clear-cut case like this is definitely a scam or this is definitely going to drop. I don't know what it's going to do at the market open in about an hour. What I do know is that it was up way, way, way too much on way, way, way too little volume. So I shorted it. It actually has a nice double top right now here at 840. So if you shorted it anywhere in the eights, that's cool. Just be sure to lock in profits. I'll make $275 half awake, every day if the opportunity arises. I didn't have to trade. I wasn't looking to trade, but I saw an opportunity, and frankly, it's nice to be on the short side again when I see so much BS. You have to be extra careful shorting in 2018. But, some short sellers are doing well. And when you see total, absolute bullshit like this, even if you don't short it, just at least be aware of it. I think that's important, so that if and when this sector and this boom does collapse, you're not surprised, because you see these kinds of BS tactics that these companies use. And that's it. That's today's lesson. Again, if I made my point, leave a comment underneath this video saying, thanks, Tim. I now see the BS. And that's my goal, just to educate you so that you're not naive, so that you're not conned by these companies and their kind of nastiness. I made 275. I'll post a trade in a little bit. It doesn't matter. It's just a good lesson. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the chat room. Let me get some coffee.